Moses was a shepherd. Not that big of a deal. Honest work, you say. Except for it was a big deal. It was a big deal to him. And I'll tell you why. Because this is Moses Opposes. Now this is the part where like there'd be like a little action shot or like a little cartoon that's like Moses Opposes, la 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 da. But I don't have that because I don't have those resources right now or maybe ever. So we're just going to pretend that happened. Moses was a shepherd. He was raised as a prince in Egypt because he was adopted by the daughter of Pharaoh. We're going to get more into his backstory and we're going to get more into all of that. But we're going to start where Jesus called Moses and he was out on the backside of the desert being a shepherd. A couple of things to point out here. One is I love that the Bible calls it the backside of the desert. Like, it doesn't even sound like the good part of the desert where like the cactuses are nice or however the desert is over in the Middle East, which I should probably read about. Anyway, it's like he was in the back 40, like he was the backside of the desert, and a shepherd. And you think shepherd's honest work. That's not degrading in any way. He's doing a good day's labor. He comes from a long line of shepherds. But he was raised as an Egyptian, and he was raised in an Egyptian culture. And in Egypt, shepherds were the lowest of the low. They were, I don't want to compare them to any sort of job that we have now because I don't want to degrade anyone who does a good almost day's work. But in their class society, shepherds were really low. And we know this because we know this from Genesis. Joseph has brothers that he reconciles with and they come and he wants to find them a place to live in Egypt. And he says, you're going to meet the Pharaoh. When you meet the Pharaoh, I don't want you to tell him that you're a shepherd because shepherds are really, really low, looked down on in this society. Tell him you raise livestock. And then he will give you a provision of land for your livestock and then it can be shepherd or sheep or whatever you need. Whatever you do, when he asks you what you do, don't tell him you're a shepherd. So we're going to read the section where the Pharaoh asks them what they do. I'm in Genesis 47, and it's verse 3 and onward. Then Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. And then Pharaoh said, you can come and dwell in this land, and such and such. So Joseph's brothers got it wrong immediately, like so bad. It was like, don't tell him you're shepherds. Don't tell him you're shepherds. Don't tell him you're shepherds. I am the Pharaoh. What do you do? We're shepherds. We're definitely shepherds. I'm a shepherd. He's a shepherd. My dad was a shepherd. My dad's dad was. We're all shepherds. It went really bad, really fast. So we cut ahead to Moses, being raised in this Egyptian society, having all the education of Egyptians, of which we know that because it's cited in Hebrews and many times in the New Testament, that he was educated and trained in like Egyptian royalty and a very high education. And now he's on the backside of the desert and he's a shepherd. And that's where God finds him. That's where God comes to him, not when he's in royal robes. We're just going to stop with that. That's my only analogy. That's where God comes and finds him on the backside of the desert doing the job which he considers to be the lowest possible job. This is encouraging to me. Because I was one of those kids that grew up with potential. I was always like, oh, that girl's got potential. Oh, I can't wait to see how you turn out. Oh, I can't wait to see what you grow up to be. And that's like a lot of pressure. And I don't know if I fulfilled any of those things or if I've lived up to my potential. I don't know if I ever will. And I'm starting to realize it may not be that important. Except for I want to make sure I always do what the Lord asks of me to do. It's part of the reason why I'm teaching this online Bible study that maybe 2 people will watch. But the verse that I keep coming back to, that I've come back to a lot, is Philippians 1:6, which is he who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. I also like the verse that talks in Hebrews, I want to say it's 12, about God being the author and finisher of our faith. All of these verses that put the onus, that put the responsibility on God to work on me. Not that I don't need to do the work, not that I don't need to answer when he calls me to things, not that I don't need to stay in the Word because heaven knows I need it, but that the Lord is working something out in me and He's good at it. So even if I am a train wreck, which I am a lot of the time, He is God and He is good at that. And He will come find me in the backside of the desert as a shepherd or a housewife, which is not a lowly position. I'm not downgrading being a housewife. And He will call you where you are when He is ready. And He will equip you to do what you need to do when He is ready. And that is my comfort for today. And this is the first edition of Moses Supposes.